Sometimes conversation gets off to an awkward start like this.
You drink coffee, man, or no?
Nah.
Really?
Yeah.
So in this video, you'll learn how to avoid those awkward moments and confidently speak to people. First mistake is thinking that you need to have a great opening line to start a conversation. Conversation typically starts off with boring, somewhat obvious questions, and it gets more interesting after you've been talking for a while. Even with Mark Zuckerberg, who is, in his own words, an awkward person.
Yeah, I'm like the most awkward person. People have been calling me a robot online for 20 years. It does wonders for my confidence.
He gets more comfortable and cracks jokes once the conversation gets going.
Yeah, I mean, I wake up and I fight people.
Yeah.
You don't have to overthink your thoughts being interesting enough to say. That makes you look awkward. Instead, here's an example of what just speaking your mind looks like.
Here, finally. Never been to the office. I told Abhishek I don't want to come to the small office. So he made sure he got a bigger place and a lot more people to meet. But I'm finally here and I'm happy. So
Generally, when somebody asks you a yes or no question, saying one or two extra sentences is more than enough to keep the conversation engaging. But sticking with the theme of how to start a conversation, there was once a guy sitting next to me in a cafe and he was using a nothing phone. I said to him, "Do you really like tech?" He said, "No, I don't." But we still ended up talking for 20 minutes. Why? Because starting a conversation is not as important as keeping it going. So let's go over what to do if your mind goes completely blank in a conversation. The easiest thing to do in these situations is to comment on the environment. If you're in a cafe or at a party, for example, talking about the environment will help you in keeping the conversation going. But if you don't move away from these topics quickly, you will get stuck in what I call small talk hell, conversation about the traffic and the weather. So to move away from that, stop thinking of conversation as an exchange of information and start thinking of it as an opportunity to connect. And when you make this mental switch, you will automatically start bringing up topics and themes that you care about.
It would be who I become at the end of my time. Might be a little selfish to say because you want to say my priority is my wife, my children, my parents. But eventually everybody's priority should be who you become at the end of this journey, because that's all you take with you.
I recommend knowing ahead of time what topics you would like to connect with someone over. For me, I tend to drive conversation towards anime, reading or weightlifting because that's what I care about. Those topics might be different for you. As an example, here watch Mark trying to connect over jiu-jitsu because it seems like he cares about it.
A lot of times the guy submitting you also wants to help you learn too. So it's like you can lose and win at the same time. I think that's what's kind of masterful about it.
Yeah, totally. Do you do it?
I don't do it as much as I would like to.
As you just saw, not everyone will care about your interests, but the right people will respond with enthusiasm. That's how you authentically become excited to talk instead of feeling awkward. Notice the difference in his energy in this clip. First, watch as he's talking about bows.
What kind of bow do you have?
Gosh, I didn't get to do it this season, but
Do you know the company that makes it?
not off the top of my head. I have a few.
You have to know. You
Yeah,
have to
no,
know
this
all
is
that stuff.
embarrassing. This is embarrassing.
And you can easily switch topics in conversation by just saying this is very random, but, and then talk about whatever it is that excites you. The next habit you want to avoid is body language that communicates discomfort. I think this is one of the biggest reasons why Mark looks awkward. Watch his stiff body language in these clips.
Sometimes on vacation, I'll drink it recreationally. It's like every once in a while.
Yeah. And I think one thing that Facebook has done incredibly well is figure out what to build and build this repeated innovation culture, which I think is like the hardest thing.
And contrast that with these clips where people are sitting more comfortably.
My friends told me, you're pretty good. I mean, where did you learn this? And I used to tell them I saw it on TV yesterday and I thought I'll try it here, and I used to execute it properly. So
cast was also repeated. You had sort of, that was the first time you were playing a Sardar, which of course...
It's not about copying the exact ways of sitting. It's about making yourself comfortable while you're talking to someone. And this physical discomfort also extends to his smile.
Senator, we run ads.
I see. That's great.
And contrast that with this more genuine smile.
When I'm in front of the camera, when the camera's on, like, people should just want to understand what's going on there, because that's what I got fascinated with when I was a kid. I was just like, what's going on with this guy? Like, what's he doing, man? I don't have any idea what he's doing. This is so cool.
There are three types of non-genuine smiles. Polite or social smiles, smiles that are meant to hide your intention, and smiles that are meant to mask discomfort. With Mark, it seems like he's smiling to mask his discomfort. In fairness, the clip that I just showed you was several years old, and these days it seems like he's worked on this. When he does smile, it appears a little bit more genuine. For context, watch that here as he's talking about his daughters.
But we're not just like letting them just kind of sit and watch stuff all day long.
So you think
unless you're on a plane, then you do whatever you need to do to get through that flight.
Yeah.
Then,
Thank you, dude. Somebody else needs to say that.
yeah, no, it's
You don't have to worry about smiling as long as your smile is driven by genuine internal positive emotion. But the final way to handle awkwardness is to internally embrace it. The worst thing you can do is to try to hide your awkwardness. That's like trying to not think of a pink elephant. It doesn't work. So to handle awkwardness, recognize in your mind when you feel awkward.
Look, I'm like famously awkward. I need some input as I'm, as we're doing these, so I can make sure I don't say anything stupid.
Now, you don't have to talk about feeling awkward if you're not comfortable with it. But I do recommend at least acknowledging it in your mind that you're feeling awkward in that moment. The next thing to do is to recognize that this feeling of awkwardness comes from being hyper aware of your thoughts and emotions. The solution to do this is simple. Focus on other people. Look at others and focus your attention on them. Actively listening to other people will help you move through this feeling of awkwardness quicker. If you'd like to learn how to listen and make an unforgettable impression on people, check out this video.